seconds left. Eagles by 8. Brady lines them up. He's back again. He steps on. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.
Aloha and hello out there, everybody. What's going on? This is Miho from the Too Close to Call cast, joined by my co-host Pags via the mobile line this evening as life's getting in the way this weekend. We both had a hell of a weekend flying around, so it is now Monday evening. It is time to finally talk Eagles draft results, Pags.
Love it, man. One hell of a weekend. Let's just say it was one for the fucking history books of chaos. Catching the birds. I am very happy with this draft. I don't know how you feel about it, but I am very pumped about what they did in this draft.
Initial takeaway for myself was, as a whole in the class, is surprise. You show me the names, and I think a little bit more along the lines of maybe not so much Howie Roseman in the second round. The first round, you get the big ugly. So let's dive right into that, Pags. We'll roll through here. And, we'll kind of get our thoughts as we roll because we're a little bit more unscripted this evening, guys, because we haven't had time to collaborate pre-hand. So bear with us. But pick one, number 22 overall, Pags. So they traded up, as we discussed was a possibility. And they get the offensive tackle out of Washington State, Andre Dillard. Some people had Mr. Dillard as the top tackle on the board. Others had Cody Ford, things like that. But it was certainly a talent that the Eagles said were very surprised to see fall into that 20 mark.
Yeah, I really thought it was going to be Cody Ford. And when I saw that they traded up, I was like, shit, they might be going for Dillard because I know I had read that he was one of the higher ones on their board. And I mean, they give up a 4th and a 6th round pick and swap 1st round picks with the Baltimore Ravens. I think they really were jumping the Texans there because I think the Texans were eyeing Dillard. We got our big ugly. We got that. This kind of goes back to what you had said pre-draft of we're in a position to draft for 2-3 years down the road. And this pick is definitely one of those.
Absolutely. And honestly, Pags, it could even be for this year because let's play a slight scenario game or roll through me because as I had a day or two to kind of, research a little bit, develop some scenarios, you have basically Dillard now is the 3rd best tackle on your roster, right? So yes. The question is if you feel like week 4, week 5 Pags, Peters' quad flares up, do you think Dillard's ready enough to plug and play at that left tackle position? Or do you think he will still kind of sit behind Vaitai, who has obviously the experience, Super Bowl, everything else? Where do you think they stand on that offhand?
If this kid is as good as he seems, this kid's going to be in over Vaitai. Tackles you tend to see be able to adapt to the game, and you kind of take their woes as, yeah, that's going to happen. Now, it all depends on training camp. I think how Vaitai, maybe this lights a fire under Vaitai's ass, and Vaitai plays out of his mind. So it's going to be you're going to have to see how training camp goes, see how this kid adapts, because I know he's not the greatest run blocker, but a stud in the pass game, and I think that's why the Eagles took him, because Wentz is blindside. They need somebody for years to come.
Exactly right, Pax. See, this pick has gotten better as the days go on because there's no shot Jason Peters is playing 16 NFL games next year.
No.
As well as Vaitai is a passable left tackle at best. He is not good. So left tackle was a much higher need than I think any of us anticipated, just because on paper it reads okay. And now the question also is the right tackle position, right? Like, oh, Johnson, not a problem. Well, Johnson's one flub P-test away here from sitting out a year or 2 years or whatever it is. So don't forget about that in the back of your mind, right? But when it comes to...
That could happen.
Exactly. Obviously just whatever, but that is a thing, right? It's something you have to worry about as a GM, as well as when it comes to run and pass blocking. I agree with you. Blindside pass protection, way more important, as well as running the ball, dude. We're going to run right regardless because Johnson and Brooks combination is going to be fucking way better than any left guard eventually when Samalu slides in a year or two and Dillard. Now, this is the follow-up question that I don't think anybody's talking about yet, but Pags, do you think because of this, Jordan Mailata becomes expendable, obviously, because he's not your tackle of the future, and at the very least in 2 years, he's a swing tackle? That could be one of his plans, practice squad, but I don't know if he gets through waivers. Do you think there's a chance they could move that dude to play guard? Because I'm thinking a former rugby guy who's run the ball may be a fucking badass pulling guard running through these holes and eventually slide in there. And after this year, maybe next year when Samalu takes over for Kelsey when he retires.
Dude, I thought of that as well. I think he is better fit as a guard because guard is by no means easy, but you're not on an island like you are at tackle.
Right.
And I was kind of surprised. I know his size portrays tackle, but this guy is athletic enough to play guard. And the Eagles like to pull their guards, like to get them out in space, and that's where I think this kid could definitely thrive at that. But I don't think they wanted to – it's his first year playing football. I don't think they wanted to be like, hey, learn all the positions. It's more like, hey, learn how to block.
Yeah, and they saw Peters and went, yeah, we need him. He's great. There's no way he's finishing. Vaitai, ooh, boy, maybe Dillard's fallen. Let's do that. So ultimately, I think they were looking for an elite lineman in the first round, and just the way the board fell, he happened to be on the offensive side of the ball.
Yep. Let's go to the next one. I think it was a little surprising to me how heavy the Birds went offense. Was that surprising to you at all?
It was in the exact moment. So I was going to bring this up after the first three picks because we'll touch on some names, right? Because they go running back in round 2 with Miles Sanders out of Penn State, which is not a reach for Sanders, but a little bit of a reach for the Eagles just because the last guy they drafted this high, like we talked about, was Sean McCoy. The funny thing is he was literally pick 53 too.
The same pick.
Exact same pick. 5-star kid out of Pittsburgh, Whippeal kid, Penn State. Would have played pretty much at any other school, had a guy named Barkley come in the same fucking class. So hasn't taken a lot of hits, going to be fresh, ran a similar running system than the Eagles do. So there's a lot to like about this pick. He can catch the football. In year 1, I think he's an excellent complement to Jordan Howard. And then as he develops, potentially he could be that 3-down back spelled by maybe Corey Clement in years 2 and 3. And others. So I was definitely surprised at the running back, although, again, like we had said, it's the more exciting of the pick. You know what I'm saying? We're thinking, it's going to be a safety and I'm like, give me a running back. And fuck it, man, Howie Roseman did. So I guess was that a surprise? I know you said you were surprised about the offense. Round 2 as well, the wide receiver out of Stanford. So which one of those two, I guess, surprised you more and why?
Definitely Miles Sanders. Just because, like you had said, Shady was the last one we picked in any of these rounds. I'm not going to lie. When I saw he was still on the board, I was like, give me Miles Sanders.
Right? That's what I mean. Like and they finally did it.
And they did it. And Howie listened. And I think you had touched upon it, and it can't go understated, that this guy has a ton of tread on the tires. He played behind Saquon. He spelled Saquon. He had 1 year. And I really think that is one of the reasons how he did pull the trigger, because he was probably high on their board, but they don't value the running back position. So running back, Miles Sanders, that is
some of the communication pags, like you just said, I know internally was that, hey, if this kid would have gone back to school another year and put up similar numbers, where would he go next year, a.k.a., top 15 or 20 type of thing.
Correct.
Because he's a Heisman finalist and maybe the top guy. So a little bit of a steal. J.J. Arcega-Whhiteside, wide receiver from Stanford, the other second-round guy. Bigger receiver, not a speed guy. Apparently excellent ball skills. Catch radius is huge. Boxing people out, going up and getting it. Red zone nightmare. A lot of production. 14 touchdowns last year. So your Eagles are running out 6'4 Ertz, 6'4 Goddard, 6'3 Jeffrey, 6'3 JJ, and 6 foot somebody else I'm missing. But either way, that's 4 people over 6'4, and I don't know who the hell's covering all these guys in defensive backfields.
But I think this guy sniffs as a long-term replacement for Alshon Jeffrey. You got that big 50-50 ball guy.
I think that's
that
a good
can
call.
Just go up and make the plays. I think he's going to be an animal in the red zone. I mean, 6'2", 225, that is fucking big.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, Pags,
receiver.
back to your original point, right? So I'm waking up Sunday after all these picks, kind of getting my wits after drinking for the Sixers and whatnot, and it finally hit me, right? Like, we're talking about this historic defensive draft. We need safety, linebacker, D-line. We're thin, all of this stuff, right? But I then remembered my mindset in weeks, say 10, 11, 12, 13, before Wentz went down and Foles took over. The problem on this football team was the offense. Like,
yes.
We would bitch about the defense. Oh, they gave up a 4th and whatever late. Or the other team drove down the field for the win. And, I can't think of specific examples, but then I always remember kind of coming back around and being like, Pags, we scored 20 points.
Yeah.
I know we were up 20-16 or 21-0 against the Panthers or 21-3, but we still only scored 21 points. Like, you got to score more than 20 points to win the football game. And we didn't start doing that until Foles was in there. So this makes absolutely nothing but sense. This is the biggest year in Carson Wentz's career. He hasn't been healthy in 2 seasons. If you're going to justify to the Philadelphia public that you're going to pay this man $30 to $35 million, he better fucking light it up this year. So what do you got to do? You got to protect the guy and you got to get him weapons. How did we not know this was the only fucking direction that they had to go, Pags? It was their only fucking option.
Well, dude, I think it was clouded by the fact that everyone was like, this D-line draft is insane.
Exactly,
and of
dude.
course, the Eagles love their D-linemen, so I think...
And Howie was feeding
jumped
us
into
bullshit
that.
about D-linemen. He was fucking
Yes.
knew what he was doing.
I think we just fell into that trap of, like, they love D-linemen, they're going to get as many D-linemen as possible. And then Howie goes 1 in the first round, offensive lineman, 2 in the second round, receiver, running back. All of a sudden, this offense shouldn't have any excuses.
No, there's none any left, Pags. That's what I'm saying. If Wentz doesn't light it up this year, there's no excuse except for that, hey, maybe this guy isn't fucking the second best quarterback in the NFL. Like this, there's a ton of pressure on Carson Wentz now to perform because he's got all the weapons. He should have the protection. You've got a running back now. Hell, you got fucking 2 of them. Like,
Yeah.
There's no excuse, man. And I'm digging it because, like I mentioned, Jim Schwartz, he was excellent with some of the pieces he had last year, even though he took a ton of shit. I feel sneaky that, Howie Roseman is saying, hey, it's all about Carson Wentz right now, and it has to be. That's the only thing that matters in Philadelphia this season is Carson Wentz and his performance. It's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, and then as soon as this season, God forbid this season ends with him looking like dog shit, you could start hearing it's time to get in position to get Lawrence in 2 years, and fucking all these quarterbacks are going to be available next year, like Tua and Fromm and all those guys.
Right? So,
shit.
Man. But, hey, I know we're in here about 14 minutes. We want to keep it under like 16 or so, but we got a defensive end, Sharif Miller out of Penn State in the 4th round, who basically, because reports were coming out that Chris Long is leaning towards not returning, he told a couple Eagles guys that pick certainly makes a lot of sense. As a 4th round guy, you're going to be a rotational piece, maybe a couple of sacks, something like that, but he'll definitely make the team. In the 5th round, they took a quarterback like I told you they would. Big smart kid out of Northwestern. And then ultimately in the 7th, they traded a couple of picks and got a defensive tackle. But the other theme here, Pag, seems to be smart, intelligent, football kids that fit the culture. You know, everybody says Sanders is smart. They got the Stanford guy, Dillard. You know, it fits the mold, man. So I think Howie Roseman had another good year, and he better, because with only 6 picks in back-to-back years, that's 12 over 2 years. I want to say the average, man, is like 24 or something like that, or 20. So they got to hit on these because they don't have the bullets.
Yeah, you would hope they hit on them. If you had to give a grade, what would you say?
That's the thing, dude. In the moment, I would have went, you know, kind of like B's across the board, but snaking out of it, you're going to have a tackle of the future, a running back of the future, and hopefully a wide receiver piece that is going to contribute. And if you go 3 for 3, it's an A. If you go 2 for 3, absolutely, it's a B. So to be determined, but right now I'm going B+, A-, just based on kind of the initial grades, feedback, and research that I've done.
If these top 3 picks land and your defensive tackle, defensive end become rotational players, it's a fucking A.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this year, realistic expectations is Dillard develops, Sanders contributes immediately, JJ has 20, 25 catches, a touchdown or 2 in the red zone, Sharif, very small rotational Josh Sweat type of role.
Yes.
Arcega-Whhiteside potentially as your, you know, 4th tackle. If Hester beats him out, so be it. But that's it, man. Your top 3 are Miles Sanders needs the most production, and Dillard needs to play very well when whoever the hell gets hurt, because we know it's going to happen.
When his name gets called.
When Jason Peters comes out in the 3rd quarter of week 1 because his hammy's tight.
It's going to be nice being at a game and seeing Jason Peters walking off the field and being like, "Oh fuck, here comes Vaitai."
That's what I'm saying. Or like Mailata, is blindsiding our franchise quarterback. Holy fuck, did we need Dillard?
Yes. But, and it just makes me annoyed that I didn't fucking smell the tea leaves before it fucking happened.
That's it, dude. That's what I was saying. I was just like, oh man, it makes nothing but sense here when I had some time to, you know, circle around and invest.
Right.
But that's our road to victory pod, man. Eagles draft, recap, results, takes, all the above. They traded up, got their big ugly on the offensive side, got a couple of weapons for Wentz in the 2nd round, and now I'm as excited as all hell for the fall to get here.
Oh man, the roster has taken form, and it is. I'm ready for OTAs. I'm so pumped.
That's it, baby. Hey, we'll talk to you guys later today, and if not, tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely. Fly Eagles Fly. Check us out on all our social media accounts. This podcast is going to gain nothing but traction as we head into the fall. So continue to share with all your Eagles fans and even those Cowboys fans that like to hear about the other team. So thanks for everything, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.
9 seconds left. Eagles by 8. Brady lines them up. He's back again. He steps on. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you. Let the celebration begin.